so different. It's an industry that's kind of boring at the face of it. You know, we pull land records, we put reports together and issue insurance policies. But I try to make it technologically fun with my app, with some of the things that I do. And at the end of the day, it's important for me to continue to bridge the gap and be able to do things that other people don't do in my industry. From my, like I said, from my app to the TC platform to the new AI technology that I'll be launching hopefully next quarter. You know, and you know, having a professional team and being in the business for 24 years has allowed me to expand, you know, what I do into, you know, various markets and do things that actually benefit the agent. So, you know, I'm doing a deal with Black Knight, who's a data company, to put a link on my website so that you as a listing agent can go on there, register, and pull the deed of record currently. So you know who vested owners are. And when you go for a listing, you have a resource to go there and say, hey, Jane Smith, I also see that John Smith owns this house. He has to sign the listing agreement also. So these are the little things and the tools that allow us to expand and help agents become more successful. And kind of, you know, my philosophy is, you guys are real estate professionals. You sell homes, I do title. The more title I can do for you and save you time in my industry, the more houses you sell, the more money we both make. And that's always been kind of the parameters. And one of the things that we had just talked about, and some of the things that I opened up to EXP, which I don't do typically for everyone, is to take rental escrow. I had forwarded Shari a bunch of documents for our firm that she's going to. You got them, Shari?
Yeah, I'm doing them now, except Hadley's talking, so they're going only to her. So now I'm trying to. But Glenn, let's touch on that, because I just want to bring it up real quick. We all have, for those of us who have been here for, you know, a while, we all have our loyalties with the title companies we've used for years. And when I met you, you know, obviously I thought you're awesome, but I said, and, you know, Chad and I discussed, like, what is going to set you apart? What is going to make you different? Hold on, I'm trying to do, okay, now I uploaded all of them. What makes you different? Why are you so awesome? And there were a few things, because you're Glenn, number one, but number two, you know, to set you apart, escrow. So yes, we do have a company that holds escrow, but it's, you know, I don't think people feel as comfortable. They feel like it's more localized, and you, Glenn, are willing to do that for us all over the whole state of Florida, which is absolutely amazing. And we really appreciate that, because that's something that we struggle with, because we don't, you know, EXP does not hold escrow. And everyone's always confused as to, you know, where that's gonna go. So the form, and maybe we can go over a little bit of it, is in the chat, guys. I uploaded all the forms that he requires, where free of cost, because EXP does offer.
Excuse me, sorry, 1 second, guys. My daughter's going for surgery. Just give me 1 second.
Wait, EXP does offer to hold escrow, but guess what? They charge $150, and that freaked me out, especially for a rental. So sorry. Glenn is willing to hold escrow for us free of charge for our for buyers and tenants, correct? Or just tenants?
No, we'll do it for the transaction. So, you know, some of the forms, I need to pull it up real quick.
It's in the chat.
Yeah, let me just, bear with me 1 second.
Florida EMD, right? It's in the chat if it makes it easier.
Yeah.
The wiring instructions.
Yeah. So I don't know why this Zoom is not working.
So while he's looking, I'm looking at it right now,
which is, there we go.
Well, one little thing, which is awesome. Remember, there is wiring fraud, and you don't want to get in the middle of it. And if you are able to pull up this form, if you're on the phone, you can pull it up later. It says, please confirm wiring instructions with Melinda Marquez with the phone number. So no one is to wire this without speaking to her first, because as you know, once you email something, it can be manipulated. So as long as your customer speaks to her directly, no problem.
So thank you, Shari. So, you know, there is no benefit to me holding rental escrow. I'm not allowed to charge for it. there's liability, there's wire fraud. You know, we're putting our necks on the line kind of, you know, as a loss lead to do your title business. To be honest with you, I'm a very straightforward person. You know, I came to Shari, I said, Shari, what are you lacking? She said, you know, we don't have an escrow company for rentals. I said, let me get it approved with my corporate counsel, which I did. You know, and I'm gonna do it. But I need you guys to understand, on rentals, we need the lease, we need the escrow documents signed, we need the information so that we have everything, because we can't put our necks on the line unless we're protected. So the escrow agreement is pretty simple and straightforward. They don't have to be notarized documents. Please have your clients, once again, confirm wiring instructions. Delaney, who you get used to in my office, handles all the rentals that I take in. She's amazing. I hired her a couple of years ago. She was a valedictorian of her school. Her mom and I went to high school together. Jesus, when the dinosaurs were still in play. And the kid is great. So that's all she does is escrow rentals for me and my team. And she's a point of contact. Melinda runs the office, and you know, she's in there all the time. So when you send, and if you do one, you'll get used to the process. And then, you know, once it's on the, you know, ask questions if you have to. And Dell is quite knowledgeable in the field, and she'll be able to help you with that. And like I said, you know, I'm not going to, Eric, just give me 1 second. I'm not going to, you know, I don't want to be a rental escrow agent. So I'm doing this to help you guys, but just know that, you know, I want your title business. I'm very candid about it, because I can't make money on this, and I'm not going to charge you, your client, no one. And truth be told there's a reason why I'm the top title agent in the country. I'm not arrogant. I know what the hell I'm doing. I know how to get deals to the table and get them closed. At the end of the day, that's all that matters. Everything else is fluff to me. All of us work super hard, especially in this market, to get a buyer or a seller to use us and to get the deal in contract. Then it's my turn to kind of take over and my team and get it to the closing table. If there's problems, we know how to handle it. We are super compliant. I will not cross any gray area, but I close deals. So I know how to close deals. My team knows how to close deals. I have bilingual closers and processors, and the technology that I use is second to none. I've built Trello, which is an app, you know, that customized it for me. So I run my whole company on my phone from an app that I built. And that's separate from my title app, which allows you to get buyers and sellers fees on your phone. So go to my website. I'm going to put it in the chat room. Download the app. There's download instructions that I sent to Shari as well. It's a great tool for you guys. I don't want to go into it because it's an arduous process to explain it to everyone. If you want to reach out to me, I'll explain it, how it works. You can get sellers net sheets, you can get buyers estimates, you can get a sell to net, which means that if a seller comes to you and says, hey, I can't sell my house unless I make 300 grand, you put in 300 grand and work backwards.
See, and we don't have a buyer's net. We always have to, you know, it's always an estimate or whatever. So buyer's net would be great because, you know, we have a seller's net.
Yeah, you go right on.
One thing that I'm going to interject, I'm just going to interject because I keep on hearing a lot of the provisions of the documents and the places to go to, links and apps and websites and so forth. I'm really, Shari and I are encouraging our affiliates to utilize our businessservicepartnership.com site, which is where we have you featured. You're already a link that takes everyone to your website. It has your county link there. We will take the documents that you're sharing. We're going to upload them as documents that you can access from within that site. So because meetings like this, we do sometimes land with, that was great. Now, how do I get that information again? So on our landing page, on our value page, all of what you're talking about right now, Glenn, is accessible there. One thing, so I just want to make sure everyone has access to this after this meeting and knows that that is a site where they need to engage all of our recommended preferred vendors like yourself. The other thing that I'm hearing that I know also rings nicely to me is, you know, everyone can put their finger on the pulse of how overwhelmed their title agents kind of communicate how hard they're working and how overwhelmed they are. And that's why they couldn't return your call, or that's why things are delayed and things like that. I have, you know, Shari and I, we do look into whoever it is that we bring forward to a Zoom meeting or actually reflect upon our value pages. And so we do see your team is rather substantial. And it seems, that it's not just going to be one individual. Of course, we may develop a relationship with one of them in particularly, but to know that there is a ringleader that is doing things as aggressively as you are, or as professionally as you are to such a high end, that's really valuable. So, I just want to make sure that everyone is truly encouraging themselves to creating this relationship, deepening their understanding, having easy access to everything that Glenn is offering forward today, right now, because everything is going into one central place of accessibility to our affiliates.
Okay, thank you,
And
Chet.
Thank you, Chet.
Eric
I
had a
just wanna say-
question. Let me get Eric. Go ahead, Eric.
Simple question. I'm writing a contract today and I want to give you the deal.
Yep.
What is the name of the company? Is it Kensington Vanguard? Ask
It
the
is.
title guy. What's
No.
the name of the company?
Kensington Vanguard is the name of the company. One of the forms that I sent over to Shari that should be in the doc page also is an intro letter. The intro letter has all of the information you'll need for contractual obligations. It has our office locations in Tri-County. So, we have Brickell, we have Broward, and we have Palm Beach County. Those are the counties that I have physical presence in Florida. So those are the counties you can use for the contract. It has the name of the company, where to send it, the phone, the fax, all of the information you'll need is on the intro letter.
Okay, thank you. It's
Okay,
Eric, do you
there's
see it?
a Broward office, a Miami office, and a Polk office. Got
Okay,
it.
do you see that, Eric, in the chat?
Yeah, the buyer and realtor intake, I got it.
Okay,
Nope,
good.
that's not it. Those are intake forms. The intro letter that Chad just put in is the form. The intake forms, now that we're on it,
Oh, got it. Okay.
Oh, I see.
Yep. The intake forms are for buyers and sellers. Obviously, we have technology that sends automated emails, but I'm a true believer in old school customer service. People are selling and buying houses. Whether they give a hoot about it or not, because they own 600 other properties, doesn't matter to me. This is a transaction where we're selling and buying and people are involved. There's an emotional component to it. And we're the first line of defense and the last line of defense after the contract has been signed, right? They don't know us from a hole in the wall. It's very important that they're communicating with someone, they're sending money, they're receiving money. All the technology in the world, which I use to the best of our ability, doesn't overshadow customer service. So the intake forms are sent to the clients upon contract. We ask them to fill it out and send it back as an attachment with their valid IDs, and especially with the July 1st foreign national purchasing nonsense that's going on in the state of Florida. We want to get licenses, make sure that they can buy, that they're not from Iran or North Korea or Russia or Venezuela or Cuba.
Excuse me, Glenn, if we're not sure about that, are you guys well versed in that? Can we call you up and say, hey, I got a buyer from here? Can you?
I'm going to send you, I'll send you a form that has the parameters of it and the bulletin from my underwriter. Basically, I'll just give you the 2 cents. As of July 1st, any closing that happens from a foreign national purchaser from specific countries, Iran, Cuba, Venezuela, North Korea, China, and Russia, have to be vetted. So if you have one of those buyers that fall as a foreign national purchaser, then you have to be concerned. That's the first stage. I will send you the forms. If you're not dealing with them or what have you, then don't just let it fly. If it comes about, obviously you guys can call me for anything. No question is too stupid or whatever it might be. I am here as a resource as well. I try to be a student and a teacher of this game. And that's very important because that's why I came up with Ask the Title Guy. So, that's my website, that's my hashtag, that's, my social media, that's my platform. Because, I'm a resource for everyone and I want to be.
So who vets them, you or us?
But I mean, listen, both of us, to be
Well,
honest with you.
what does that mean by vetting?
Well, no,
Like,
if we fail, it's actually on title. So we got to work with them.
So basically, if you have a buyer that's from a different country, right? And let's call a spade. If you have a buyer that's purchasing in an entity, right? These guys are slick, just like the fraudsters and the scamsters that steal wires. Don't get fooled by the authorized signature of a trust or the authorized signature of a corporation or an LLC as an American citizen, but the managing members or owners of those corporations or entities are Russian or Cuban. So it's our job to work with you. Obviously,
Okay.
there's a fair housing component to it, but if
Right.
you don't have a buyer that sends you a passport and it's from one of the countries that I just, described, I will send you that information. Then you got nothing to worry about. That's what it comes to.
Okay, so you'll help us with that too. Great.
100%.
So, okay, so then I said to Glenn, I said, awesome. Thank you so much for handling our escrow. And then Glenn said, guess what else I'm going to do? I'm going to pay for your transaction coordinator. And I was going to say, I didn't even ask for that. That's awesome. Thank you. So a lot of newer agents feel like and veterans feel like they don't need to have transaction coordinators. And I always say, well, okay, you guys all know my opinion on that. But now what's going to be your excuse when I say Glenn's going to pay for it? So Glenn, can you tell us a little bit about that little perk you're offering us?
Sure. So let me just make this a little smaller.
And Glenn got this all approved for us in real time. He never held escrow for any, or just that one other company. And then I, set it up with him and he said, absolutely. Same thing with the transaction coordinator. Absolutely. So how does that work?
Can you allow me to share my screen?
Of course. Hold on one second. Go for it. Let me know if you can't.
Got it. Okay, I'm in. All right. So here's the document. That's most of my team up there in Florida. So two things. Number one, typically I assign a group or a team of mine to service you guys. We have a two-tiered system. So we have a closer and a processor. The closer is the more experienced, 20 plus years, bilingual, deals with the banks, deals with the higher level stuff. The processor is the one who does the survey, they do the minutia, they do the clearance, they do the, there's two people on every team. So not only am I overseeing the operation, we have two assistants overseeing them. I have a whole system in operation, unlike most people. So we always have eyes on the prize, and always have more than one person to go to. Listen, truth be told is I don't do the honeymoon phase. If you don't like someone, I will never know you don't like them or you get along with them. My people are awesome, but sometimes it doesn't work. Let's be realistic, right? So if that's the case, or you're not comfortable with something, or you don't understand something, I'm not a mind reader. Just email me, call me, let's get on the phone, let's talk about it. I've been doing this long enough to figure out how to make things work, how to make you and your clientele happy, okay? So that's the first part. So on the screen, you see the TC thing. So typically transaction coordinators charge anywhere from $250 to $395. Typically it is a charge to work on the transaction. There are parameters that I have to tell you. Number one, it must be an insurable deal. So that means that I have to do the title insurance in order to obviously pay for your TC. I'm not going to do it on a rental or an escrow I can't do seller's docs and all of that, just seller's docs. So it has to be an insurable deal. I have to be the title agent on the deal and issue an insurance policy. On the flip side, just so you guys know this in the industry, I'm not allowed to do any transactions unless I do insurance. And that could become a problem. So if you have a buyer or seller that doesn't understand title insurance and gets a CD and it says optional, it's not optional. Okay, and it can affect our relationship. And I'll tell you a 2-second story. We got to a day before a closing, and the buyer turned around and said, in Miami-Dade, said, I'm not taking title insurance. So I said, well, you're not protected. When you buy a ring for your wife or fiance or you get married, the first thing you do is you go get it appraised and you get it insured. How much is the ring? 30 grand? You're buying $1 million house. What's wrong with you? Right? So people just don't understand because they see optional and a charge next to it and they're like, I'm not paying for this. They don't really understand it. So that's the first thing. The second thing is, it was the day before the closing that he decided he didn't want it. So I called him up and I said, and he was an attorney out of Chicago, smart guy, like, most attorneys are. So I said, sir, just so you know, if you don't take title insurance, I can't insure the deal. And if I can't insure the deal, you're going to lose your deposit of $100,000 tomorrow, because no one, and I'm not going to sell you my lien search and my survey and all the work I've done for the last 45 days to get you to the closing table. Now you tell me that I can't get paid. Well, I'll release your escrow to whoever you want, but they're never going to be able to close. And I know that the seller is not going to do an extension. So either you take title insurance or you lose your $100,000.
Yeah,
So-
and we thank God that is pretty much understood. But what I want to drive home for everyone, let's back up and make sure they understand. So if I represent the seller in Palm Beach County, where seller picks and pays title, you're not able to do that, correct?
No. If whoever picks and pays, I just have to insure it. So if you're representing the seller and the
Right.
seller picks and pays for title, then
Right.
yes, I could pay for the TC.
Okay, but
Because
then,
I'm insuring the deal. But in Miami-Dade, where the buyer picks
oh,
and
right,
you're representing the seller or the listing,
right.
then I can't do it.
That's what I meant.
You
So,
can still do seller docs, you just can't pay for.
I cannot do seller docs in Miami. So if you're representing a buyer in Miami and they choose a different title company, I'm not allowed to do seller's docs because I'm not a law firm.
Okay, so that's Broward also, right?
That's
Yes.
valid as well. Yes,
so
sir.
does everyone understand that? Can you say it one more time so everybody understands? All right, do it where I have the
It's fine.
listing.
So you have the listing. If you
Yep.
have the listing in Broward or Miami-Dade County, where the buyer picks title, I cannot be involved in the transaction.
Okay. Okay.
I guess that's pretty easy, right?
There's
Is
too much
everybody-
liability and it's a whole nother thing. And that's just something
In
that,
most cases, the easiest way to close is
Is to
to
use the
just
title company, right?
have seller docs done by the same company. But
Right.
it doesn't mean, if you rep in Broward County, Glenn's gonna love me for saying this, you are totally allowed to put in your listing that you would prefer to use a particular title company. And then it's up to the buyer to pay and pick, but you could put out there who you would prefer to use.
Thank you, Eric. And yes, that's the case. And just so you know, the title insurance differential on smaller deals is not great. It's not a big differential. And if there's a lender that let's say you're representing a buyer in Palm Beach County where the seller typically orders, but you know that the buyer's using a California, non-QM lender that's going to be difficult to close, and you don't have a relationship with the title company, it could turn into a problem. Some of these lenders now, even the big ones, have fired a lot of their staff, and they're just not capable of doing the things they used to do. So having a relationship and controlling the transaction is something that I find not only important, but I find a lot more of my clients are doing it at this point.
So let me just make a comment out to everybody out there. If you're a listing agent on a property and you have multiple offers, and one of the agents paid attention to your broker remarks where it said, would like to use Glenn Asher as title, and they put that in their offer, you get to sit in front of your seller and say, by the way, these people have agreed to use the title company that I recommended, and we will have better control over the whole deal, and it makes life much easier.
That's correct. Thank you. I appreciate it, Eric.
yeah.
So number one, it's for the TC. Let me tell you the parameters, and it's pretty simple. I have to insure the deal. The TC, or transaction coordinator, cannot be a representative or work for an agency. So they can't be your assistant at EXP. They have to be a real company. They have to be a 1099 independent contractor, not your sister-in-law that has a different email address. This is like a real entity. The benefit is that they work for you. They're all non-active agents, but they can do addendums, they can do timelines, they can follow up. And you're not going to pay for it, or neither is a consumer. So yes, it's a $395 fee. The best part about it, and I'm a very honest and fair guy, I did not raise my closing fee that amount to cover the cost. I'm eating that money. So I charge $5.95 to close typically on the buy and sell side, which is cheaper than most people around. And I'm taking that $3.95 out of the settlement fee. The client will still pay $5.95, right? But I am not making that money. I'm taking that money and paying the vendor. So I'm not greedy. I work on volume and relationships. I work on long-term and 24 years in the industry. I have an impeccable reputation because of the fact that I'm fair, I'm honest, and I'm there, bottom line. So this is something that I think will drum up business. It helps everyone involved. And I think that I think that will be a huge benefit to you guys if you don't have a TC, and Chad and Shari have one that I've spoken to. She's awesome. You know, and I believe that you know, that's your go-to person. Am I correct, Shari?
Jennifer. Yep. Jennifer
Yes.
Kemp. And he's agreed to cover her if we use him. So thank you for that. I know she's a little different price point, but I really appreciate that.
Thank you. So yeah, I've already spoken with Jennifer. You know, we talked it out. She has a great service. I think that it's a benefit. And you know, we're ready to rock and roll.
Yes, Hadley. Yep. Oh, it's to me only. Yes, Hadley. So yeah. All right. Can you collapse that so I could see everybody again, Glenn?
Yep.
If you don't
No
mind.
problem.
I appreciate that. Okay. So that was a lot covered, a lot of interesting and new things. And again, I just want to say thank you for making the effort. Oh, and the third thing I wanted to bring up. So, you know, we're all in these classes on how to get leads, right? And one of, that's funny, Russ, what's his last name, Chad, that spoke at the, Eric would know too, at the recognition, Russ with the vest. He's interviewing Glenn Sanford tomorrow. What the hell's his name? Russ Langdon or something. He did a whole, you don't remember?
I'll look it up. I've got his picture. Hold on.
Okay. Well, he's so cute. He's with the bow tie and the vest. That's his shtick. But he gave a whole thing on speaking to all of your vendors. Let's face it. I mean, I've been in the business for over 22 years. I'm very loyal. I use the same vendors over and over and over. I gave them hundreds of thousands of dollars worth of business. Well, depending, you know, over the years. And I'd like to say that some of them have not given me referrals, ever. But, you know, they give me great service, and really that's all I care about. But Russ's whole thing was, you know, if you don't, and Glenn asks, you know, Glenn says, I'd really want a photo, Chad. Thank you. But Glenn says, I want your business. If you don't ask, you're not going to get. So Glenn has given us, before we even had this meeting, Russ Lagan, when I first met him, he gave us 2 referrals. We've got a listing that I gave to one of our agents on the West Coast. And then you gave us a buyer, I believe. And I forgot to say thank you to the UFC guy who was amazing. I guess he was just so tall and big. I was like, woo. I forgot to say thank you. But we really appreciate you for that. And that proved to me that you put your money where your mouth is. And, you know, when you work with Glenn directly and he knows the area you're in, he will for sure, you know, go to you directly. But for now, Glenn's going to me. And, you know, he's like, Shari, who do we have? The last one wasn't the last one Gainesville? Jacksonville.
Yep.
Yep. So Jacksonville was the last one. And like I said, the other one was Tarpon Springs. So again, thank you for that. I mean, I've worked with people for years and have not seen that. So that's another great thing. And like I said, put your money where your mouth is.
Thank you. You know, listen, referrals are something that come and go. It doesn't happen every day.
Right.
The fact that you guys are spread out and you know, in different areas is great, because truth be told is most of my business is in South Florida and Orlando area. That's where I've done most of my closings in Florida. You know, and I've done a lot of them. Thank God. You know, I don't do much in the Keys. I don't do much in the West Coast and some of the outer counties, as I call them. Yet. So, but that doesn't mean anything as far as the title process goes and the closing process goes. But my referrals are typically not in those locations. But But when they are and they fall into a parameter that I could, spread it to you guys, and just imagine, I haven't done business with you guys and I've given Charity 2 leads already. And I have, a ton of other clients. But it is what it is. And I want to build a relationship. I think that the menu of items that I'm providing to you is verbose and different. And this is just a lost lead to show you what we really do, because I don't lose clients. I'm a beast. I start work at 4:30 in the morning. I end at 7 p.m. And that's what I do. And I've been doing it for 24 years. And there's a reason that I hit #1 in the country, and the numbers that I provide. And whether it's luxury, whether it's $150,000 deal somewhere, it doesn't matter to me. It's all because you never know who that person is and who they're connected to. So, I've done $100,000 deals as a favor, and the next thing you know, I got a development. Or I've done a $25 million purchase and I never hear from the people again. And I did the best job possible. So you just stay consistent. That's what I do. I have a great team. I'm nobody without them, because I don't do the work. I just direct traffic and build relationships. So
Yep. Thank you for that. Does anybody have any questions? I want to get questions, Chad.
Yeah, absolutely. But one thing that I know that we always talk to the point of is having law associated with our title organization that we recommend to our agents, because whenever something does just come up and get a little bit blurry, we like for law to be immediately accessible to, whether they send them a stock letter saying govern yourself accordingly, whatever the case is. So what is your association with your law involvement? I know you're not the lawyer, you already stated that, but we did have this question when we first met you. So what sort of access to law do you have if that were to come to need?
So I'm not an attorney. We're not a law firm. I've worked with a ton of different attorneys who I can bring in on a transaction if need be, or a problem if need be. To me, I don't see the need for an as-is contract transactionally to be an attorney, because you don't have to be. And my experience, and I'm sorry if you have attorney friends and clients, my experience is that they cause more problems than they help solutions. And that's just my internal feeling about that. If there is a situation where we need counsel to get involved, I can, refer attorneys. I can't tell you that, I'm going to pay for them if they get involved, because I'm not. They work separately, and so any legal stuff, outside of the parameters of stuff that I can control, we'll have to go to a firm. I don't do litigation. We don't do landlord tenant. But listen, legal questions, throw them at me all day. I know the answers from a legal perspective. I cannot give you legal advice, but I can tell you how to navigate. And if I don't know the answer, I don't know the answer, and I'll get it for you, or I'll get somebody on a conference call. That's the best I can do. Very rarely after 24 years of doing this do I get something I haven't run into before. And just like I try to train my clients and agents and bankers and what have you, if you make a mistake or you learn something, keep it in mind. So when it happens again, you know how to answer it. But there's situations that I don't know. Bottom line is, I just got asked a question about FIRPTA on a Canadian buyer who's wanted to transfer title to a family member. Bottom line is, you can't afford a FIRPTA. That's it. It's a government regulation. You transfer title on a quitclaim deed, you cannot avoid paying the FIRPTA. So, I didn't know the answer. Made one phone call, called them back in 3 minutes. So
right. And that's the other thing, guys. Everyone asks me who does 1031 exchanges. And a lot of people are doing that now to avoid taxes. And I've been sending them to Glenn. You have to contact Glenn. You need an intermediary prior to even, I would say, listing. Well, as you list the property, so what you get to inform the seller as to what the steps are that they have to take. It's precarious. And a lot of agents think that we're supposed to know all of that. No, there's people who do that for a living. Like, you just need to know that if someone is inquiring about a 1031 exchange, just know some of the parameters and send them to Glenn, right?
Yes. So we're a full-fledged 1031 platform, attorney run, and we own the company. They're under our umbrella, and they're awesome. So 1031 is something that people try to know, think they know, but maybe don't.
What's the name of the intermediary?
1031, Legal 1031. He's been around for 35, 40 years. the head attorney, and they have a whole team of people. They're awesome. I do a lot of 1031 stuff. And we do reverse 1031s also, which is something that most people don't know.
What's a
And,
reverse 1031?
When you
Real
screw
quick.
up your dates.
What is it?
It's when you screw up your dates.
No. So a reverse 1031 is when you find a property that you want to purchase before you sell your other one. So basically, you have an investment property, you put it up for sale, and it's $1 million that you're going to get on your 1031, but you found a deal and you want to close on the purchase before you do the sale. It's expensive, but it saves you a ton of nonsense, and it's very intricate. There's a whole process, but that's the bottom line. Typically, a 1031 is investment property that you're selling and to save money on your capital gains. This is when you're replacing the property that you find first before the sale happens. I'm closing one as we speak, like
Oh,
right
cool.
now.
I didn't know. All right. I thought it was too late or you can't do that. That's awesome. Just learn something. Take note of that. Okay. Does anyone have any specific questions for Glenn that's important to them, that they're a little either clear or they want to know if he does? No.
Speak now or hold your peace.
Yeah.
You guys, I know that Samantha Martinez had a question. She said, if the sale is in another county other than the 3 listed on the intro sheet, would the contact info just be the closest one? It's in the chat. To revisit the question.
Yeah, I mean, you could use whatever address you want. Our corporate office in South Florida is Brickell, which is the Miami-Dade one, but whatever makes you most comfortable. That office is just a physical location. It doesn't really matter. If you feel like your client is gonna be like, well, I'm all the way in Tampa, we close nationally, so you can always say that they're a national firm. So you can use whatever address.
Now, what type of remote closings do you do then? Is it with a,
Mobile.
Go ahead.
With a mobile notary.
It is a mobile notary. Okay.
Yeah. We have vetted companies that we've been using for a very long time in specific people in specific counties, so we can cover anywhere.
And who pays for that?
The buyer typically pays, or the seller, and it comes out of the settlement fee. That's part of the closing fee. You won't see it as a separate line item. You're not allowed in the state of Florida.
Oh, okay. And then I've been hearing, not that I've ever done one, but what about, what do they call that? Digital, where you hold up your license to the, like a Zoom.
Yeah, we do. Well, if it's a cash deal, it's DocuSign, right? We do raw notaries if need be. I don't like to do it on the seller side. There's a lot of fraud. I want to make sure I have a physical person, there while someone is signing a deed. We always close the sellers first if we can. But we have raw notaries. It's not gonna take form unless there's an emergency, pretty much. So.
Or they're in another country.
Correct.
Okay, that's neat. All right, anyone else? No. I want to thank you, Glenn. I know you're super duper busy. And again, thank you for the referrals. Thank you for getting that passed through for us to hold escrow. We really appreciate that. And we look forward to doing business with you. We thank all of you who took the time out of your day. Also, while we have you here, next Friday, I'm having the gentleman from eXp Luxury, who is also, I'm finding out, a KV Core expert. So what I'm going to make him do.
Thanks, guys. I gotta run. Sorry.
Oh, thank you, Glenn.
Thank you so much. I appreciate it. Bye.
Thank you very much.
Bye.
What I'm gonna have that guy do, he's awesome, but I'm watching him in Workplace post. Oh, I taught this, I guess he has an organization. I taught this KV Core class and everybody's getting organic leads and blah, blah, blah. So I'm going to put him on the spot and say, hey, give us 5 tips for free that you could do that. So we're definitely going to utilize him. Eric, you're absolutely invited, and I'd like you to invite your group. I'd like you, if Julie wants to come, I know you guys know a lot about eXp Luxury, but I want other questions answered because everyone's so confused. And I just think it's new. And I've never.
Wait, I don't know if you saw, there was a post just like 20 minutes ago.
Oh, I didn't.
Something about, and I may have this wrong, that if you take the luxury course at eXp, and I don't want to be misquoted, but whatever the course costs, they will credit you half towards your first year of membership at Luxury. So that was just posted a few minutes ago, just so you know.
No, thank you. I wasn't looking at my phone. I know it's rare, but no, I'm teasing you. But, and also guys, you're invited. Look up the name Julie Nelson. She's wrote a few books, and Eric, I forgot Monday night. All of a sudden it was Tuesday and I go, oh good, I'm going to go on your Zoom, and I missed it.
Listen, I love that Julie came up with the domain name for our Zoom call. It's called Our Monday.
Yeah, guys, I'm going to type it in here. If you go to www.ourmonday.com. So the reason why I'm typing it in, the reason why I think that this is such an unusual Zoom, and for those of you who are watching this being recorded, they are not the typical make all your calls and cold call and, you know, all the stuff that's being shoved down our throats. Eric and Julie have been realtors for so long and have been Eric, you've got a very strong foothold in Fort Lauderdale, and your ideas appeal more to people like me, and your approach, a lot less stressful. So I get a lot out of those Mondays. I'm upset that I missed this last Monday. Like I said, it was Tuesday and I was all excited and I missed it, but, you know, thank you. And everybody's welcome to go to that as well. And like I said, Julie spoke at Summit. She spoke last year as well. She spoke this year. And she's really, like I said, you both have a strong foothold in your area and ideas that I like, not the same old.
Together we all achieve more. So we love everyone. We love everyone.
Well, I'll just say I'm about 16 chapters into her book right now. And she, you know, the JulieNelsonProject.org is her site where a lot of her tips are. And whenever we recommend anyone, we pre-vet them in terms of like how we perceive what they write. And yes, exactly. That's the one. And so essentially when I'm finished with it, that will be a book that is available on our business service partnership as well. And then we'll look to possibly, you know, Sherry will communicate with Julie and Eric and see if we can have that sort of Zoom, because any sort of encouragement to our agents on different prospecting techniques, it's really the basics are you just have to spend 2 hours a day in prospecting, and that's just it. And if you do that, you're going to build a business. And so, you know, and Julie gives a lot of examples of all the different types of customers that she has coached over the years. And they're of all different cuts of cloth of backgrounds and aptitude. So, you know, you can't sit in discouragement and confusion when you are in the business of buying, you know, representing buyers and sellers. You've just got to do the contacts. You've got to, you know, really reach out to your sphere and tell them how excited you are to be in business and how you're surrounded by high-level talent that will ensure that the transactions are conducted at the levels that they would otherwise be hiring someone more professional than their cousin who is now you, and they don't think you're that great and they're hiring their local expert. You know, it's really just having all those conversations on such a regular basis, and there's no way of getting around it if you want to build your business.
Wow.
So it really speaks to those points in the book.
Yeah.
That was great.
Hadley, do you still have a question? I saw you had one and you tried to get back in. Hadley had a question. I guess I'll answer it off mic. Let me see. Oh, well, what was your question, Hadley? Maybe I can still answer it or direct it to, go ahead.
You know, I'm such a geek, but his app is not secure. You go to download it and you're filling in information, and I don't want to use my 2 emails. I'd have to make another email to download his app, and it's not in the App Store. So that was just my question, like, why couldn't you just make that that little input form secure so that I didn't give my information to the whole internet?
Send him an email and let me know what he says, and I'll pass it forward.
Okay, thanks for hearing the geek.
Oh, stop it. So thank you all. Hopefully we'll see you Monday night with Eric and Julie, and please go to next Friday. It's going to be amazing. There'll be tips, tricks, and secrets that I'm going to make him give us. So I think it'll be
Great week, all.
And remember, today you have a State of the Union address at 1 p.m. on everything EXP from Glenn Sanford and Jake
Is that a
Kinder.
workplace?
I would
Yes.
throw yourself into Workplace to find the link to where it's being held, but yes, it's gonna be. It's right there in Glenn Sanford's posts. I don't have that offhand. I just know it's happening at 1 o'clock and it's kind of being posted a little bit everywhere
Today or tomorrow?
today. Oh, wait,
Okay.
No, Friday.
it's Friday. Pardon me. Yes, it's Friday at 1 p.m.